In Idaho, a bill that could limit lawsuits against pesticide manufacturers heads to the Senate floor. A dangerous precedent quietly looms as similar bills being considered in Iowa, Florida, and Missouri. It should be an election issue in both the United States and Canada as governments and courts begin to cave under pressure from big chemical companies. On February 6, 2024, Idaho media including Idaho Press are reporting that a bill determining the future of pesticide-related lawsuits is headed to the Idaho Senate floor. According to Idaho Press, during the previous week, the Senate Commerce and Human Resources Committee heard testimony on Senate Bill 1245. Senator Mark Harris from Soda Springs said the bill would add language to existing Idaho laws to protect agricultural pesticide products that our farmers and ranchers depend on. As written, the bill says that any pesticide approved by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency and bearing the required warning label regarding potential threats to human health and safety would be considered to have given sufficient warning of the risks. The legislation is anticipated to provide immunity to pesticide manufacturers from most lawsuits about health conditions that arise from the use of pesticides. The bill comes to the Idaho Senate in the wake of several years of lawsuits in which plaintiffs across the country argued that exposure to the glyphosate-based herbicide, Roundup, caused them to develop cancer and other health conditions. Bayer, the manufacturer of Roundup, has been ordered to pay hundreds of millions of dollars in damages in multiple cases to different plaintiffs. The Idaho Press reported that discussion topics at the hearing included the ability of pesticide manufacturers and companies that produce their components to continue operations, the integral nature of pesticides in farming, and the right of Idahoans to seek litigation against chemical companies. Bayer Deputy Chief of Government Relations James Curry testified in favor of moving the bill forward, citing studies that say glyphosate-based herbicides like Roundup pose no health risks when used according to the label. The legal costs faced by the company because of lawsuits are significant, Curry said. Adding that the company would prefer to dedicate such resources to product research and innovation. It's becoming more and more untenable to see a path forward without some sort of legislative certainty, Curry said. Curry noted that Soda Springs, Idaho, is the only location in the Western Hemisphere mining elemental phosphorus, which is transformed into one of the key ingredients in Roundup. The company's subsidiary there, P4, employs about 800 people and has mined phosphate ore in southeast Idaho since 1952, he said. Others testifying in favor of the bill included farmers from around the state who said they use Roundup and other pesticides to produce crops like sugar beets. Sugar beets and other crops have often been genetically engineered to withstand pesticide spray. Larry Hollyfield, a farmer from Hanson, said grain producers often use Roundup to clear their fields of weeds before planting, enabling conservation practices like reduced tilling. Such products, and the companies that make them, need protections, he said. If not addressed, this will directly impact farmers by limiting the availability of these essential products, resulting in lower yields, threatening farmer livelihoods and domestic food security, and ultimately raising the price for consumers amidst record-high inflation, Hollyfield said. Some testifying against moving the bill ahead said it should be revised so that it could offer better protection to people to bring future litigation. Warning labels on products tend to warn of immediate danger, like precautions about swallowing a chemical, but not for long-term use or exposure, said Lance Giles, speaking on behalf of the Idaho Trial Lawyers Association. He asked the committee to amend the bill to include a sliver of opportunity to hold manufacturers accountable if their products make Idahoans sick. The Idaho Press also reported that Jonathan Oppenheimer, Government Relations Director for the Idaho Conservation League, questioned the sweeping nature of the bill in applying to litigation against a wide array of manufacturers. He noted there are similar bills being considered in Iowa, Florida, and Missouri. If pesticide manufacturers need immunity for products they know to be safe, why do they need immunity? Oppenheimer said. There are already systems in place to eliminate frivolous lawsuits. It's a very high bar currently to be able to prove the definitive link between pesticide use and personal damage, and we urge you to leave that in place, he said. Senator Dan Foreman from Viola moved to hold the bill, while Senator Jim Guthrie of McCammon made a substitute motion to move the bill forward to the Senate floor with a do-pass recommendation. Foreman said that it concerned him that the bill as written gives future approval to any EPA decisions approving a chemical, and potentially prevents lawsuits against companies. What really troubles me is if there's anything in this bill that precludes the citizen's ability to bring a cause of action against an applicator, a producer, a manufacturer, then that just troubles me because the way we decide issues like this is through our courts, and our courts are very adept and capable at dealing with these issues, Foreman said. Guthrie characterized what juries have awarded to plaintiffs in Roundup cases as excessive, evidence of a justice system that is biased and flawed in an unfair way. I think this is maybe hitting that balance to where we can temper some of those obscene awards that have been handed down, and hopefully keep our business and mining industry and those kinds of things in a healthy position so we can have the things that we need for the sustainability of life actually, Guthrie said. The committee voted 5-3 to send the bill to the Senate floor with a do-pass recommendation. When Bayer acquired Monsanto in 2018, the company agreed 2 years later to pay over $10 billion in an effort to end the tens of thousands of lawsuits filed regarding the Roundup weed killer. 1 year before that decision, an Alameda County, California, jury awarded a couple $1 billion each in punitive damages and $55 million in collective compensatory damages. A San Francisco jury gave $80 million to a man claiming his cancer was caused by Roundup, and in August 2018, another San Francisco jury awarded $289 million to another person. The question becomes as to whether this legislation, if passed, will eventually erode liability linked to the vast negative impacts that these chemicals have on the environment, and will the legislation grow into other jurisdictions and into other countries? The negative effects of pesticides are not just in the area of application. Runoff and pesticide drift can carry pesticides into distant aquatic environments or other fields, grazing areas, human settlements, and undeveloped areas. Other problems emerge from poor manufacturing, transport, storage, and disposal practices. Over time, repeat application of pesticides increases pest resistance, while its effects on other species can facilitate the pest's resurgence. Alternatives to heavy use of pesticides, such as integrated pest management, and sustainable agriculture techniques such as polyculture mitigate these consequences, without the harmful toxic chemical application. Environmental modeling indicates that globally, over 60% of global agricultural land is at risk of pesticide pollution by more than one active ingredient, and that over 30% is at high risk, of which a third are in high biodiversity regions. Each pesticide or pesticide class comes with a specific set of environmental concerns. Such undesirable effects have led many pesticides to be banned, while regulations have limited and/or reduced the use of others. The global spread of pesticide use, including the use of older/obsolete pesticides that have been banned in some jurisdictions, has increased overall. And then there are the bees. Will their case be heard?